Okay, seems that I am back, guys. Fucking technology. Fucking technology. Hopefully you'll all find this stream. I do apologize for my cats eating the cables. Hi, Chrissy. Hi, Billy. Thanks for being here. I'm so sorry, guys. Who's popping? I bet you make a good Luddite. I'm pretty sure I would. Pretty sure I would. Hi, David. Lovely to see you. Yeah, sorry, guys. Part of my to-do list since January has been to contact my landline provider and change. Oh, thank you, Chris. Thank you so much, Chris C. Thank you for doing that. Really appreciate it. It just pisses me off that this yeah. I must try going live streaming on my phone again because my phone has mobile data, so I can, go live stream from anywhere. And what pisses me off the most is the bloody mast is across the road. It's like literally 50 meters across the road. Pisses me off. So I'll just give it a few more minutes to see who else joins, and then I will read out the star signs because I was supposed to do that at the beginning and ended up talking about my favorite topic, moaning about the bloody fascists and racists and bigots. Thank you for liking, guys. Thank you for coming back. I do appreciate it. I really do appreciate it. I'm really pissed off. Really pissed off. Oh, a good news story. Brilliant. I'm not clicking on it because if I open anything, it might knock stuff down. I've actually gone and closed a whole load of links that I had open. Yeah, I need to get another internet cable, I think. But I need a new router. That's, I think, the main thing is I need to get a different provider, and I need a new router, and I need I need to learn technology, to be honest with you guys. Hi, Viper. Hi, Diz. Are you in Derby? Who's popping? I'm Chesterfield. Right, so I am going to draw a card, an oracle card for the week ahead. The cards are out. Oh, one of my favorite animals in the world, the swan. I love swans. They look so graceful, don't they, when they swim? They seem to float across the water, and yet they're paddling so fast underneath that you don't see. So the message of the swan: follow the swan to find new ways of thinking, breathing, and going with the flow. She asks that you pay attention to your feminine intuition, hunches, and gut instincts. Remember your inner grace and beauty and let it shine forth for those around you to see. Oh, Pete, you're not allowed to. They belong to the king. So yeah, today's card, the swan. I'm hoping to see some swans tomorrow. I was going to go and run at Clumber today and do a long run, but I decided no, because it was Sunday and the sun was out. And I thought there's going to be too many people. So I shall go tomorrow when people are at work and stuffs, and I can, be on my own and not be harassed by people. And then if I need a crap in the woods, I can go and have a crap without worrying that somebody's going to see me. Yeah, I know. It's my stomach problems. It's called Trotter's Trots. It is actually a real thing. You can Google it and look it up. A lot of runners suffer from it. So yeah. Right. Star signs for the week ahead. Star signs for the week ahead. Hopefully this will work now. It's going. Okay, here we go. So this month it is for March. We are coming up to the Aries star sign. So happy birthday to all you Arians in the chat. Now I've closed the one that I wanted to look at. Fucking hell. Oh my God. Okay, we're not having star signs today. We're not doing star signs today. There are no star signs, but on Tuesday night, the night of the full moon, it's a blood moon, and the planets are aligning, which is probably why I'm having technological problems, because that is just the way it is when the planets align. I did actually see something as well the last few days. There's oh my God, the words today are just, they're there. I can see them, but they're not entering the brain. You know, a planetarium, right? There's a planetarium in Chesterfield that is what smoke out of the back of my computer? Do you mean out the back of my head? There's a planetarium, well, it's a telescope thing in Chesterfield that are open on Friday nights to the public from 8 p.m. onwards. So I'm going to do that as soon as I get a chance to go and the sky's clear, because there used to be a planetarium in Johannesburg that I used to go to, which was amazing, and they do the whole sort of show. So you know, they'd be projecting it onto the ceiling, and the chairs leaned back, so you had a headrest. So it was brilliant. It was a big building. I don't think this one is as big, but still. Hi, Leapshin. Thank you for joining. So yeah, no star signs because the thing lost. It lost. So we're not having star signs. But like I say, Tuesday evening is full moon. I will talk about it on Tuesday evening when I do my What's Going On show. So yeah, it's a blood moon. There's an eclipse of some sort, and the planets are all in alignment. So expect chaos this week. I think that's basically what we can say, you know, is that this week is probably going to be chaotic the closer we get to Tuesday, and then for a few days after Tuesday, with it being full moon. That full moon energy can be incredibly strong, incredibly strong. So much light around the central belt of Scotland. There's one in Edinburgh. Oh, wow. It's not buffering. I'm not seeing it buffering. Guys, have I frozen again? Can I see some thumbs up if I'm okay? Not buffering. No buffering. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. If it does start to buffer, guys, I'm going to just call it quits this evening, because I don't, you know, otherwise I'll end up throwing the bloody laptop through the window and I can't afford a new one. So, yeah. So, yeah, you're so lucky that you guys live up there and you get to see these things as beautifully as you can. I've not seen the Northern Lights, and I know that there were people in my area and further south who saw them late last year, and I just never got to see them. I tried looking, but because my bedroom faces north, and there was just nothing. Very sad. One day I will see them. So speaking of all things spacey, this is an article from Eco News, and it was published on the 27th of February by Adrian Villalas. NASA and China warned that the moon could be hit by a 60-meter rock and that the impact could trigger a meteor storm that would knock out the internet, satellites, and GPS for years. So, you know, the buffering that we've just experienced has nothing on this 60-meter rock. What if the most spectacular sky show of the century came with a very down-to-earth problem for your GPS, your weather app, even the satellites that track climate change? That is the puzzle scientists are wrestling with as they study asteroid 2024 YR4. So forget about what's it? Forget about that one. That's gone now. That's gone. We've got a new one. Got a new one on the way. And it's small, but real chance of slamming into the moon in late December 2032. Okay, we've got a few years to go. Thank God. Thank God we've got a few years to go. Right now, astronomers estimate that this building-sized rock, roughly 60 meters across, has about a 4% chance of striking the lunar surface on 22nd of December 2032. Things like this, you know, when they give you these December dates, really make me wonder about the three wise men following the star to find the barn that Jesus was born in. And I wondered to myself, you know, and I think I've seen this contemplated by many theorists, that perhaps it was a comet that they were following, because a lot of people don't, you know, or at that time didn't understand what a comet was, that it did look like a star moving through the sky. And these dates, I mean, the one for the last one, I can't remember the bloody name of it now. And I was so like hoping that it was a spaceship, wasn't I? Would be so nice to be just taken off of this planet and taken somewhere else, away from the fash and the, you know, the bigots, and away from the shit on this planet, to be honest. So it always seems to come around this time of year when, you know, when we have the winter solstice and Christmas, the festivals of light, because we know that at that time, you know, we've had the longest night, the shortest day, and now the days start to get longer again. And haven't you noticed a difference this last few days, how everything is starting to be lighter? It's just amazing. I love it. I love it when the days are getting lighter. Can't wait. 21st of March is the equinox. Day and night equal length. Is there not a meteor shower that Earth passes through about this time of year? Possibly. Is it the Perseids, or there's loads of them, aren't there, that are out there? One of the space station's orbits flies right over central Scotland. Easy to see it whizzing by. Smart. You mean they could knock out Musk's Starlink, bring it on? That, yeah, there is that. But then, you know, how would we, you know, do this? Mind you, by 2032, I'm hoping by 2032 that I live in the middle of a wood somewhere in a nice little cottage with some sheep and some goats and a cow and a pony, a couple of dogs, all my cats, obviously, some birds, a little fish pond, growing my own vegetables and stuff, and a little herb garden. And yeah, I would be so happy, just away from people. Send the fash bigots and the rest of them off the planet. I am here. Venus, I hear Venus is lovely at this time of year. Yeah, and Mercury as well. One of the three kings was a scientist into observing the sky. What are their names? Melchior. Was Melchior a character in Romeo and Juliet, I think? I can't remember all their names, you know. Goat, tasty. I don't like goat. I really don't. I've tried goat. I didn't like it. No. The Lyrids is the next meteor shower, due to peak on 22nd of April, around 18 meteors per hour from on the trail of the comet Thatcher. It's an unfortunate name, isn't it? Well, that's right around my birthday. My birthday next month. Thank you for sharing that, Chrissy. Thank you so much for sharing that. That's brilliant, my producer. So yeah, that's something in the future that we can look forward to. I just really feel sorry for all the Gen Zers and the Gen Alphas that have got to go through all this shit. And that brings me to my next article. This is from the Evening Standard, dated 4 days ago, by Georgia Bell. Gen Z are more likely childless and living with parents, study reveals. 1 in 10 young people from Gen Z have had children, compared with almost 1 in 4 millennials at a similar age, a new study has revealed. The findings stem from a study of almost 10,000 participants in the Millennium Cohort Study, MCS, carried out by the UCL Centre for Longitudinal Studies. So that means that longitudinal study is a study that's done over a long period of time. So it's not just one that like they do for a week. It's done over a number of years. I know this because we did it in my psychology. The study looked at the lives of 19,000 Gen Z participants born between 2000 and 2002, and they found that only 10% had become parents by the age of 23. Separate data from a UCL study called Next Steps found that an analysis of 16,000 millennials born in 1989 to 1990, 24% had become parents by the age of 25. The study confirms trends pointing towards a falling birth rate in the UK across the planet, as well as an increase in the age when people enter parenthood, the Times reported. This was compounded by last August figures from the Office for National Statistics, the ONS, which showed that the fertility rate in England and Wales had dropped for the 3rd year in a row. And I've spoken about the fertility rate in previous videos, that it's dropped down to 1.41, whereas it used to be 2.4, I think, back in the 80s when I was growing up. And this is the lowest since this data was being collected in 1938. Between 2004 and 2023, the average age for new mothers in England and Wales increased from 29 to 31. For fathers, it rose from 32 to 33.9. Despite this, 61% of Gen Z still have a strong desire to become parents in the future or to have more children if they are already parents, the paper reported. In tandem, the study found that 2/3 of Gen Z, 68%, were living with their parents at the age of 23. This marks 3 times the proportion of millennials living at home at a similar age as a decade before. More than 1/5 of Gen Z said they were renting, while 1 in 20 owned their own accommodation, and the same proportion lived in other lodgings, such as university halls. Around a quarter said they had not left home yet because they could not afford to move out, and almost a fifth said they were living at home to save for a deposit. 1 in 8 reported they did not yet feel ready to leave the family home. In terms of romantic relationships, 54% of Gen Z had a partner at the age of 23 and 17% lived with them. Of the millennials who participated in the UCL Next Step study, a much lower proportion, 23%, live with their parents at the age of 25. 39% rented and 17% owned their own home. Around 40% lived with their partner. So I think there are a number of reasons that this is the case. You know, first of all, the Gen Zers and the Gen Alphas, I feel so sorry for them. They've had such a raw deal. They really have. I mean, they went through COVID and that 2-year period of not really being at school and not being able to socialize with people. And I do think that a lot of the incel culture has stemmed from there. And I'm going to be speaking about the incel culture tomorrow night, and black pills. So you've got the blue pill, And then you've got the red pill content, which is the alpha males and the manosphere. But then you have the black pillars, and these are extreme, sort of, yeah, extreme misogynists, basically. Gen Z not reproducing is a good thing. No. Well, is it or isn't it? People can't afford to have kids. That is the number one reason why the birth rate has dropped. Absolutely. We don't have any photos of this comet because the last time it visited the inner solar system was in 1861. We won't see Thatcher again until 2283. Wow. Yeah. Yes, it is. Gen Z is the generation after millennials. So it's Gen X, best generation, millennials, Gen Z, and Gen Alpha. Sparkle Pants is in the shot. It's Sparkle Farts. Sparkle Farts. I think I've still got some names to go through, and I know that Chris has sent me some emails and I have to go through them. Most Gen Zs I meet seem really screwed up on many fronts. They got screwed over proper. They did, Pete. They did. And it's so sad. I mean, I look at my niece. She's Gen Z. My nephew, I'm not actually sure because he's a few years younger. But it's shit. It's shit for them. It really is shit. They had to stay home for those 2 years, so didn't have that connection with people. I mean, Gen Z have had it shit, and Gen Alphas are going to have it even worse, the loneliest stump. It's, they can't afford to buy homes or to even rent. I spoke about this recently in a live stream, didn't I? The plumber was here, the guy that was doing the gas boiler. There were two of them. He had a nappy with him. And I was chatting to the appy, young lad. To me, he looked like he should still be in school, apart from the fact that he was like 6'4". But anyway, we were chatting, and he says he's living at home still with his parents. And he says his mate has just bought a house, and him and his girlfriend have moved in. And he said they're struggling because they didn't realize all the other expenses that go into buying a house. And this is that a lack of education from the parents, or is it a lack of education from school? School should teach life skills, such as, what do you do when you buy a house? What do you need to know for your, your budget? How do you budget? Can you do a budget? I don't know if they teach accountancy here in schools. Normal, I did accountancy in school. That was up to my GCSE level, my A levels, and so yeah, I can do a budget. I've always done my own accounts, always, and it just amazes me that people don't know that they have to pay council tax, and they have to pay water and gas and and if something breaks, let's say your fridge breaks, you need to replace it. Life skills are no use if you simply can't earn enough. Absolutely. Both my kids went through COVID lockdowns. Yep, has affected them, but they are getting a grip of things. Good. And I think it is up to climate change is going to affect future generations far more adversely too. Absolutely, David. And it just annoys me that current politics around the world just do not put that at the top of the agenda, because it needs to be. And it upsets me that people, not all boomers, but a lot of that generation look at it as being, so what? And that generation are the one that bought all the cars, and that was the generation that really ramped things up. Now, I'm not saying that I'm Gen X and I've got a car, and I've always had a car ever since I could drive. When I left school, That was it. But I lived in South Africa and everything was miles away, and I used to have to drive an hour to work and back every day until I moved. And it is just that that knowledge that we fucked up, didn't we? We fucked everything up for these youngsters. And I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. I'm really sorry to the youngsters that all this shit has happened and that we've not done enough. I really am sorry. School is for learning these days, which it's just about teaching kids how to pass exams and improve the school's rating in the school tables. Yeah. Will kids learn anything with AI? I wonder. Well, that's something else. I mean, I've taken a year off of my, deferred my psychology degree for a year because I just had so much going on and I was just falling behind, and I knew that I wouldn't make the second essay. Well, it wasn't an essay, it was a project, which would have been quite simple really, because it was in PowerPoint, which is a program that I've been using for years and years and years. But anyway, I was so far behind in studying, weeks behind, and I was just getting to this point of stress. And one thing that they do when you are, because this was through the Open University, and I will be joining them again in October this year, that you are told, do not use ChatGPT or AI to write your articles, because they'll know. And they do. They have a thing that they put it through. It's checked for plagiarism as well. So you have to write in your own words. You wouldn't pass with, using AI to write an article. And it's like I can't remember what it was I was watching recently. I think it was a film or TV. I don't know. I watch so much shit. And it was about a library and the fact that, kids going into a library to look for stuff. I mean, we had to go to the library when I was a kid. There was no internet. You went to the library to look stuff up. And that's when I got my desire to study psychology. And it's taken me a long time to get to the point where I am. But I took out a book. It was for a project, and it was a psychology book. It was thick. It was huge. And there was this one part in it. This child had some form of schizophrenia, and he believed that he was a robot. And he would draw a picture of himself as a square robot, and he had a connection into an electrical point. And that's what he believed he was. And that is an image that stayed in my mind all those years. Cannot remember the name of the book, but it's an image that stayed in my mind all of those years. And I think that, that's possibly where my, not love of psychology, because I don't think you can fall in love with psychology, but my interest in understanding people's brains and how they work. The good old days of microfiche. Yes, Mithril. Yep. We had Encarta when we were growing up. Chris, do you know why we drive on our side of the road? There must be a reason. I'm sure there is a reason. Something to do with jousting or dueling. Yes. Yes. Jousting. I think it's jousting. Yeah. I'm sure I read that somewhere. Americans drive on the wrong side of the road. Mind you, they do in the EU. Yeah, in South Africa, they drive on the right side of the road. And they drive on the right side of the road in Australia as well, I think. Are you old enough to know? No, they're not tiny little sticklebacks. Microfiche was a machine that you do the buttons and it would scroll up. It took like photos of stuff. And yeah. But because of my health, I could do with a car more now than ever. I wouldn't survive without my car. I would not survive without my car. Mithril, I've given up my car. First time in 40 years. It's okay. Buses need to become much more flexible in coverage. Absolutely. I live on a main bus route, but I don't do public transport because of people. I stress very, very much. When I'm in my car, I'm in this safe space. Nothing else can touch me. And the first thing I do when I get in is lock the doors. And I know a lot of people don't lock their doors when they get into their car. And it always drives me mad when I see a horror movie and they jump into their car and I'm like, lock the doors, lock the doors, lock the doors. And they don't. They don't lock the doors. Personally think the worst thing they brought in was the national curriculum and school tables. Yeah. Out of curiosity, we drive on the same side as here. Same side as here on the left. Yeah. Cars are right-hand drive. Exactly the same. So yeah, these poor kids, these poor Gen Zers and Gen Alphas, I hope that they are able to step forwards and, you know, sort this fucking shit out that we've done. I will say, though, that I think, you know, Gen X, I think, and I may be wrong, was the first generation that looked at things like ecology and, you know, saving the planet. And don't forget, we grew up in the era of the Cold War and threat of nuclear war. And here we are again. So I think that it's, you know, we do need to help, I think. And I think by voting for left parties, left-leaning parties, and the Greens, if you can, and you guys know that I'm now a Green member, and I'm not trying to sell it to you. I'm not a sales, well, I used to sell, but I'm not sell records and stuff, CDs, and pints of beer over the bar. Anyway, yeah, I think it's up to us to make sure that in our later years, we start, you know, this whole process of saying, no, enough is enough. Enough is enough now. The world needs to change. And yet, you know, when you look at countries like India and those sort of emerging countries that have got, you know, are starting up with businesses and people are starting to, you know, take on that Western manufacturing process that we used to do. Their point is, well, you've done it. Why can't we do it? I understand their point. But we in the West made a mistake. Locking the doors is a bad idea if you're in an accident. The emergency services need to be able to just open the door. Yeah, that's true. But also, I've had a gun pointed at my head a couple of times of people trying to hijack me. So, yeah. And if they want to break the window, spark plug. That little point on a spark plug against the window smashes the window. Just, you know, I'm Gen X. Throughout my music project, I addressed what is known as fact now. Yeah, exactly. Mithril, my dad was a boomer, sort of. We had a whole Earth catalogue on our bookshelves. Research indicates Generation Z is the generation that cares the most across a broad spectrum of issues, including social justice, mental health, the environment, and notably caring for others. That's great. And I look at that and I think, you know, my niece falls into that category, and she was working for the RSPCA. She's a very loving, kind, caring person, very gentle, and is still living at home, you know. But she's going with her brother. They're going to be hiking in Slovenia. So only for a few days, but I'm really excited for them. And I hope they enjoy it. I'm dead jealous. I'd love to do it, but I'd want to run. You know, walking too slow, need to run. And I do think that's right, Chrissy, that they, you know, the Gen Z generation understand that, you know, where we have come from. In that, and I think a lot of it as well is to do with the fact, I mean, I look at my sister and her husband. Her husband's the same age as me, so we're both Gen Xers, you know, me and my sister, and they have brought their children up in such an amazing way. And I do think that a lot of Gen Xers instilled certain traits into those kids. I'm not saying all of them, you know, it would be interesting to look at statistics and facts around this, but maybe it's something, if I get a chance to go onto the OU website and have a look for any research that's been done on this. But I do think they've got a rough deal. I really do. It's shit. I will never be able to afford to buy a house. Never. I did a long time ago when I lived in South Africa, and that was during the during the housing before everything went ridiculously expensive. So I got my house and then sold it and made a fortune. And I wish that there's a part of me that wishes I'd have kept that house, but I'm here now. So research. Okay, I've read that. As an ex-driving instructor, I can't recommend locking doors, and most people wouldn't know a spark plug if it bit them on their arse. True. Sorry. I understand what you're saying, Mithril. I think though, when you've got a 9mm pointing at your face, you sort of, it's a natural reaction in South Africa to lock the doors and keep the windows wound up. You don't roll the windows down. You don't. You have to have aircon. It's just far too dangerous. Stopping at a traffic light, and that's where they get you. You can't move. You're at a traffic light, cars in front, cars behind, they get you there. They tried to hijack me. I was at a traffic light in Santon, and I did actually have my 38 with me, and I was parked in the queue on the left because I was going to be going straight. I wasn't going right. And this guy just walked up, smashed the window and grabbed whatever he could off of my seat. But my handbag was underneath my feet. You do that. You put your handbag underneath your feet. You don't, you know, behind the back of your knees. You can't put your handbag on the seat next to you because they will steal it. And that's everything. And I just was not quick enough to react. But maybe that's a good thing. Maybe that's a good thing. I went to the police station. The police said, nothing we can do. The guy was still sitting there on the side of the embankment. And yeah, the police did nothing. Police did absolutely nothing. Does that happen in rural Derbyshire much? No, it doesn't. I think it's just, I think for myself and the trauma that I've experienced, I think that also the fear of being raped, it's something that I sort of, you know, I'm aware of. Strange man following me, get in the car, lock the doors. Even when I go to the forest, I get in the car. But there, I think the dinosaurs might get me. That's a whole other story. My bro has a Renault Twingo and it locks automatically over 5 miles per hour. It's not just South Africa that suffers from car hijacks, so locking the doors is a good instinct in many countries with lots of poverty and crime. Yeah. Yeah. That's true. That is true. I know you do. I know you do. Sorry, Mithril. You know, I've often thought of that, you know, when I've been driving and I've got the doors locked and I think, wonder how they get me out of a car if I had that accident, you know, an accident like that. I wonder what they'd do. So it is something that I actually have considered because I hate driving on the motorways. Absolutely detest driving on the motorways. My Mini self-locks too. Yeah, my car doesn't. It's not new enough to, but it's got mod cons as far as I'm concerned, you know, from starting off driving a car that had a little tape deck. You put the tapes. Used to record all my record vinyls onto tapes. Anyway, guys, I'm going to head off because it is 7:35. I don't know if Tans is live streaming tonight. I know she said she's going to be live streaming on Wednesday nights now. So yeah, watch out for Tan's stuff. I'm going to stream again tomorrow night for Misogyny Monday. I've got some stuff to talk about, as I say, black pill stuff, which is absolutely bizarre. I didn't even know this was a thing until today. I was like, oh my God. So I don't want to give away too much. On Wednesdays, Chrissy, thank you. Tonight, if you're into paranormal stuff, Twin Paranormal are loading their new video, which is normally about 2 hours now. It'll be 9 o'clock British time. So they are brilliant. I'm not plugging them in. They don't pay me or anything like that. I just bloody love their show. So in a way, I'm glad that Tans doesn't stream on a Sunday anymore, because I always wanted to watch that. And, you know, so if you're watching Tans, please understand that it's just my paranormal stuff is one of my favorite things to watch. Also, if you are thinking of watching a horror movie on Prime, do not bother watching for something, the four of something. They go to find a werewolf. It's absolute shit. I was so disappointed. It was a found footage movie. I watched it last night. The Fairfield Four, that's what it's called, the Fairfield Four. Don't bother. It's shit. It was very predictable. The beginning was where the initial people were found, or not found, but the footage was found. And then these other people went to investigate that. And they watched the video of what happened. And you just know what happened. I'm not going to tell you all in case you do actually want to watch, but it's shit. It's an hour and a half of wasting time. Must be a newer thing. Keep the younger generation paranoid. Thing is, Mithril, you know, I lived in Johannesburg, and I've, you know, traveled all over Joburg, South Africa rather. And I think that if you are a woman and you have been physically assaulted by a man in whatever way, shape or form, you are more aware of it and more aware of being in a car park, even in the daylight. You know, when I go in the daylight, I park quite far away from the door because I want to walk. But at night, I'd park as close to the door as I could because I wouldn't want some guy to grab me from behind. Not that I think they would anymore, maybe in my younger days, but not now. Okay. Just going with ROSPA road. I'm guessing. No, I'm not saying that you're wrong at all. I'm not saying that you're wrong, Mithril. I completely understand. I just think that women have a much bigger. I'm assuming you're male. I don't know. You may not be. I just think women are more aware of stuff like that. Even people coming to the door at night freaks me out. Luckily, I've got a window next to the door, so I don't have to open the door to see who's there. Because it's very dark where my door is, and I've got no outside light. Horror movies are also fake. I mean, why does the killer never get the camera person? They do. The camera's often just left on the floor and somebody finds it later. I do like found footage movies. They are my favorite genre when it comes to horror, but I do want to see the new Scream. I do want to see the new Scream movie, so I might see if I can access it somewhere. Right, guys, I'm going to head off. I want to go put my feet up for a bit and have some fruit and yogurt before I watch Twin Paranormal. See you tomorrow evening. Have a wonderful evening, guys. Oh, thank you, Pete. Thank you. I'm sorry. Tonight was a bit the fucking internet bloody hanging and stuff. I'm sorry about that. Nothing I can do at the moment. Thank you, Dears. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, everybody in chat for being here tonight and for listening to my waffling. and for putting up and coming back after I had to restart the stream a couple of times. Yes, be safe, everybody. And I'm sure I'll see you at some stage during tomorrow on somebody's stream, but I may not because I do want to go for a big run tomorrow. So yes, please, blah, blah, like and subscribe if you're not already. That would really help me with the algorithms on YouTube. So I will see you all tomorrow. Blessed be. Mwah.